Hello, this is Greg Allison with Green Greg's Garden and Worm Farm, coming to you on the 28th of May, 2020 in the evening. And I have two questions I'm going to ask of you. Question one, is the president of China, is Xi Jinping Hitler 2.0? Is he? And is the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, really a communist organization, or are they something else? Are they, in fact, a fascist Nazi party? Now, I'm just going to ask the questions. And in fact, I'm going to use social media and other popular websites to explore these things with you instead of so much of my own narrative. We're going to have a look at these things and let you decide for yourself what's going on in the world, what is really happening. Yeah, so I've got a photograph here that kind of brings the message home. It's to get your attention. I want to wake people up that things may not be what they seem. So we're going to ask these questions. We're just asking questions, and we're going to let you decide what you think about this. But, you know, there's a lot of photographs of Mr. Xi Jinping got that Hail sign in his hand straight up. He seems to like that. Does that mean anything? And he does like to do passing review of his missiles and military. You see that a lot. So, okay, we're going to stop sharing this and we're going to go into something else. Hello. All right, so I'm going to do another share here. And we're going to look at some websites so that you can explore what I'm asking about, what we're inquiring about. And let's see, where's my Google? There it is. And let me blow this up. Here we go. And I don't know if you can be able to see all this in my. I used to can move my little picture in the corner. Let me just shrink it down completely. There we go. Now you hear me. So watch this. We're going to look at some of the characteristics of countries and governmental types. So we're going to explore fascism. Fascism. Fascism was a form of government that was associated with Nazism. Nazism was National Socialistic Party, right? That's what we're talking. National Socialism is Nazism. And you could say that so-called China is a socialist type country. You think communist, right? And you could say that it is nationalistic. Maybe that means it is a Nazi nation. So let's explore some more here. What's core tenets of a fascist country? Nationalism, okay. Imperialism. Well, I've covered in many videos in the past how China is really expanding their influence to the 9-dash line in the South China Sea, and how they are, excuse me, and how they are also making inroads into India and cutting deals with Pacific Island nations and African nations, how they're in also Central American, how they are in South America, how they are expanding rapidly into the world. So we're going to get into that. So militarism, well, that also fits with their building of their military and the 9-dash line islands they built, which are unsinkable carriers for all intents and purposes. Anti-democracy, autocracy, yeah. Anti-democracy, that fits. Anti-communism, well, maybe not that one, but are they truly communist? Direct action, yeah, they take direct action. Social interventionism, oh yeah. Social order, big time. Indoctrination, what do you think? Proletariat, yeah, isn't that the term we usually see associated with communism? Isn't that the term that Karl Marx liked to use so much? Propaganda, oh no, not China. Heroism, yeah, Xi Jinping, he's not the hero. You don't see his picture anywhere in China, do you? Economic interventionism, China? Come on, yeah, we'll talk about that. New man, I don't know, that's a kind of a more of a German thing, but maybe. Reactionary modernism, well, maybe. Ideas of authoritarianism, anti-democracy, corporatism. Yes, I would say China has corporatism today. Why? Because China enables companies. We're going to go next to the Communist Society, and then we're going to talk about all these together. National capitalism. Doesn't China have all these companies now? We'll come back to that. Like I said, state capitalism. Aren't a lot of them state-owned, owned by the People's Liberation Army? So this stuff here may not look too divergent from what China has. Oh, but China's a communist country, right? Oh, China's communist, Greg. Come on, we all know China's communist. Okay, let's come up here and look at communism. Communism, of course, is anti-capitalism. Talks about class conflict. These are the kind of things you expect. This is on Wikipedia, by the way. These are the kind of things that you expect when they're trying to take over. Once they take over, the class conflict is maybe talked about for other countries, but you know, let's say you go against the party once it takes the country over. Class consciousness. Oh, now here's some interesting concepts. Cashless society. Oh, China has no cash, right? Collective leadership. Xi Jinping does not rule autocratically in any way, does he? Collectivism. Common ownership. Well, you know, people are buying cars and have homes in China. How does that work at commune? Do the Chinese live in a commune? Communist society. Does that go back to living in a commune? Free association. Now, here's what this is the key tenet of communism. The next thing. The key tenet of communism is from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. This was stated by Karl Marx. Nonetheless, Karl Marx in 1875 in Critique of the Gotha program. Karl Marx said, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. That is the key tenet of communism. So that would mean that you've got somebody building a bunch of tables, and anybody that needs a table, you just go pick up one. They put them in a warehouse or store, and you just go pick them up as you need them. Yeah, is that happening in China? Yeah, I hear all these stories of people in China doing without. People in China not having insurance because they were stopped from working in Wuhan. In a communist country, not having insurance? Yeah, it sounds like there's something else going on in China. It does not at all sound to me from each according to his ability to each according to his needs. I'm kind of missing that. Oh, there's that word, totalitarianism, except it says internationalism instead of nationalism, which is just a different way of saying they want to conquer the world. Labor movement. Yeah. So, world communism, again, I want to conquer the world. So, does that work into militarism? So, let's see. Yeah. What else is a list of the communal parties? Let's see. So, think about this. What this says is that when you look at what is characteristic of communism, think about China. China has corporations. China has the second largest number of billionaires in the world. Billionaires, China. The second largest number of billionaires on earth are in China. China has corporations. A lot of these corporations may still be, in fact, owned by the PLA. Some of them were spun off, People's Liberation Army. A lot of us were spun off, were taken over by retirees from the PLA. So, what do you got to say, Mr. Communist Chinese Party leader, Xi Jinping? Are you really running a Communist Party? CCP, are you really a Communist Party? What kind of party are you? Well, they will tell you they are. But look at the definitions here. Communism. Look over here at Nazism, nationalism, imperialism, militarism. I would say the vast majority of these, oh, there it is again, proletariat nation. Oh, yeah, propaganda. I would say the majority, vast majority of what is pulled out here, corporatism. Yes, that is in China. A class collaboration? No. You got people starving in China. So state capitalism? Yes. Seems to be. What do you think? So I'm going to close these two tabs and we're going to move on to some other tabs here. And militarism, expansionism. What's going on in Ladakh? I've covered this in a recent video. And Galwan Valley, we've got some incidents occurring there. We're not going to show this right now. The 9-dash line. Now we go to Wikipedia. That was something out of one of the many channels on, that was an Indian channel, by the way. Many channels on Indian News Network, essentially. There are many, many channels on YouTube. Now, this 9-dash line, look here. China is way up here. Typically, what the UN would accord you is a couple of 100 miles of economic zonal inclusion off the coast, which gets you right about, out here somewhere. Because, this is thousands of miles I'm tracing out here. There's Hong Kong, that area, Yunnan, whatever. Maybe I'm off on that. But anyway, oh, nope. That is not China. Oh my gosh. So what are they doing down here? That is Vietnam. Vietnam, look, that's the capital of Vietnam. Hanoi is way up here. So Vietnam is up here. So you would think all this would be Vietnamese territory. And you got several other islands out here, the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, and there's islands out here that they've all long claimed that they've been associated with. Over here's Taiwan, the island of Formosa, the ROC, Republic of China, as we call them, instead of the People's Republic of China. So, South China Sea. China has claimed all of this, and they're expanding, and they're trying to claim other islands that are in use by some of these other nations. They're very expansionist in this area. They built up seamounts into islands and equipped them as if they were unsinkable aircraft carriers. So that is very expansionist. What's going on in India is very expansionist. They're setting up their chessboard by cutting deals with islands throughout the Pacific, where they tell people, oh, we will go in and we will build, what's interesting, they like to build airfields and ports. It's going to help your country. What happens? They loan them the money, the country the money to build it. They send in Chinese people to do the construction, so the Chinese get all the jobs, do all the labor, and then the country's on the hook to pay China back for ports and harbors, which they can only pay back by giving them exclusive use of. And essentially, what China is setting up is 4 military bases, or potential military bases across the entire Pacific. Interesting. Plus, they get mineral rights, fishing rights, all kind of other rights from these countries, and they cut deals. So they pay off some leader in the country, some $1 million or something, and they live like kings, and they sell their country away for a song, and in return for that, that country votes for China and the UN. There's a bunch of countries in the South Pacific, a bunch of countries in Africa who suddenly are voting for China because, well, that's the deal they made. And so that's going to influence how Taiwan gets treated in the international body. That's going to influence China's influence in the entire world. But it's interesting how China uses the UN against the rest of the world, but China does not follow the UN when it comes to them. For China lost a case in the World Court where the Philippines sued them for one of the islands close to the Philippines that the Philippines claimed that China went in and took. The World Court in The Hague ruled in favor of the Philippines. And China said, yeah, hey, what's them saying? Yeah, that's Russian. But they essentially said, hey, heck with you. It's ours. We got it. Possession's 9/10 of the law, or whatever it was. They kept it. They totally ignored what the UN said. And what the UN said was on the basis of all the other international treaties about territories at sea and how far out a nation can extend and what they can reasonably expect. As you can see, China's operating thousands of miles down here below those areas of expectation, right in the middle of other countries' territories. And by the way, this is 1/3 of the world's trade moves through these waters. Countries like India, Japan, Australia, many nations, and the United States are very dependent on the trade that moves through these waters that China is entirely trying to bottle up, contain, own, and completely control at their whim. That's why a lot of countries are getting bent out of shape, including India. India's not happy with that. 9-dash line. Well, the 9-dash line is just the first tier. Those island nations are the next tier. And China's very active building their Belts and Roads Initiative, the remake of the old Silk Road, scaled up on steroids, which includes sea lanes too, and many roads and routes. And that's part of what's going on in Ladakh region, the Galwan Valley in India. China is pushing to take more and more. Oh yeah, and this is one of your Indian. The Indians cover this news pretty interestingly, if you want to see. And also you can go to the Indian news websites and Chinese news websites, by the way. Look in Taiwanese websites. There's websites and news agencies around the world. If you listen to American news, you learn nothing. But there's also a lot of websites, a lot of different commentators from different countries and regions that you can check out. And also resource sites and data sites, channels that are always interesting to look into. And I'm going to show you a couple of those here. So here we are with the discussion about the Hong Kong protesters. Oh yeah, what happened? China just decided, since they couldn't get Hong Kong to pass a law within Hong Kongese protesting, that they would pass the laws in China against Hong Kong. You realize that it was supposed to be one nation, two systems, but China has just totally subverted the Hong Kong system decades ahead of schedule. They thought they were going to get 50 years. They got far short. They realized all that's coming to an end real fast. Now, if communism is so great and wonderful, why are the Hong Kongese protesting so vigilantly? Why does Taiwan not just want to be absorbed in China? Communism is so great and wonderful, or whatever form of government is that China practices. What communist country, in fact, is there in the world, or any other authoritarian country, that people are just streaming across the borders to break into? None. None. There have been occasional American defector back in the 60s and 50s went to Russia. He usually came home quite unhappy. So, and they were the very occasional defector. So, yeah, people celebrated when the wall fell in Europe. And look, Russia is no longer communist by any stretch of the imagination. And the people there are quite happy with that. But look at all the countries in Europe that were so happy when they got out from under the yoke of the communist system. How many of them pushed it back? How many of those countries are begging to institute communism today? It's funny. Only the United States seems to be the leader country calling for communism today. I don't know. It's crazy. But China don't even practice communism, people. China don't even practice. Why? It don't work. That table that you were from each coordinates capability to each coordinates needs. So you get a bunch of people building tables and you put them in a shop, and then people come take them as they need them. Well, if it's each corner need, you say you're in Russia, you take the table home, you get a bunch of Cossacks dancing on it every night, you smash it all to pieces. Next day, you need a table. Well, if it's there available, you take it, right? How efficient is that? So what I'm saying, if everything's available like that, there's very little respect and appreciation for the real value that goes into it. There's many reasons communism has issues, socialism has issues. I will go into that in a future video. But right now, our subject is, what is China and who is Xi Jinping? So look at this. Here we are with troubles in Hong Kong. It's been all over the news and many networks, and I have covered it in the past on this channel. We will skip that for further discussion. Here's a channel that I kind of get a kick out of. China Uncensored. Chris Martinson. Now this guy, you got to check his channel. He is a pistol. And what's he covering here? A lot of things. He started the war. I think we're talking trade war, I hope here. How China manipulates the media. That's where it's in. Or what about expelled for criticizing China? And no, Chris Martinson does not work for the Falun Gong. And if he did, I wouldn't give a flip, because I think the Falun Gong is a little soft and a little weak, because they should be protesting harder. If I was in a group and there was men killed and imprisoned and having organs harvested, just because we had a little different religion and the principal government didn't agree with it. You know, why should I lay down and take it? Why should I be considered an extremist because I have opposition to somebody putting a jackboot on my neck? So I've had people argue with me for posting some Epoch Times articles on my Facebook site. You know what? Epoch Times is just kind of weak-wristed or something. They don't really punch hard enough, in my opinion. So don't give me that. Like I said, if somebody's got a jackboot on my neck, you think I'm going to look up and smile sweetness? Oh, thank you so much. Hardly. If that's what you want to do, then maybe you're into some weird stuff. As long as you don't want everybody else being subjugated to it, I don't care. It's your business. But don't have a system where you expect everybody is going to submit themselves with having a jackboot crammed down on their neck. Oh yeah, it's not working so good in Minneapolis. I mean, in Minnesota right now, is it? So there you go, my friends. People don't like that, and for good reason. Wake up. All right. Yeah, and Chris, I said Martinson. No, this is Chris Chappell. Pardon me, I got my Chris's mixed up. Chris Martinson is a Peak Prosperity. Covers the typewriter book stuff a lot, if you know what I'm talking about. You know what letters are next to each other between the X and the B on the typewriter? Go figure. So, Chris Chappell. Excuse me, Chris. Chris's, pardon me. They're not at all alike, but they're both quite interesting. They're both good analysts and deliver their message quite well. So, yeah, there are people who have been expelled from universities just for criticizing China. What happened to freedom of speech? But what you find is the chancellor, presidents of these universities are on the payroll. The CCP, whatever the CCP is. They call themselves the Chinese Communist Party. Well, hey, the United States, what are we worried about? We got the biggest military on earth. We got the finest military. We're great. We're wonderful. Everything's good. Yeah, we got 490 ships. Okay, that's good. China already has 335 ships in their building and building fast. That's 68% the number of the American ships. And all the China stuff has just got one ocean around. We got to cover two coasts, two oceans. So what happens when you divide 490 by pardon me, what happens when you divide 490 by 2? You get 245, right? That started looking a little different, right? We cover a lot more theaters, a lot more area. So what's actually in the Pacific, the fleets, the ships available to us right there, China might just have an upper hand right now. There are those that say that they already do in that regard. I'm not saying. I'm just telling you what some analysts have claimed. Now, a good place for analysts to go to find data used to be the CIA World Fact Book. There are still facts in the CIA World Fact Book, but far less than there used to be. And there's this one page you're going to have to click around and find. It used to be the one page you'd find on up front, and it used to be a list. It would come straight down to all the data per country. Now you got to pick around a lot in their system to find this, and it doesn't have as much data as it used to. But you can still go in here and pull out, and so you can click on the open, you can close and open these categories and find out a lot of details about the people of China as reported by the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. And most of this is accurate data, whether you do or do not like the CIA. I'll tell you, there's some good people in the CIA, believe that or not. But like all bureaucracies, the upper crust has to be somewhat questioned from time to time, if you know what I mean. There is this thing we call the deep state. That doesn't mean every now and then you might not get a good director. I know one that I think was a good guy, but he got railroaded. Imagine how that happens. If you're a good guy and you take over an agency, you might just get railroaded. But anyway, you get a lot of facts in here about population, country. What you don't see in here that you used to see, especially when you went into the military, so you don't even find the size of the forces in here anymore. But what you used to really find, I thought, they covered kind of sort of what are the expenditures as a percentage of the GDP. They used to tell you how many troops were active, how many were reserved, how many could be called up, and what the expectation was of the population in the military that could, or in the country that could actually be called into the military. How big a military could a country actually field? Now, to me, that is intelligence. Central Intelligence Agency. Well, it looks like the I became a little I. It should be C, little I, big A. So I think their I is dropped in capital case because they just don't put as much data out anymore. They probably have it, maybe. But they do have a one-page fact sheet you can go and look at. And oh yeah, look here. Look at China. Well, look, it's about the size of the USA. Of course, you throw Alaska on the map, and you know it's almost that big by itself. But then again, Siberia is, you know, got us all swamped. So Russia is the biggest country, at least in land area. Population, 1.4 billion. Now I can do something with that number because what the CIA World Fact Book used to state 10 years ago was that China could field an army of 240 million or something like that people, way in excess of the 200 million that's called out in the book of Revelation of soldiers crossing the Euphrates River going east, heading to the west, crossing the Euphrates, coming from the east. There's only two countries that was listed that day east of the Euphrates River that, according to CIA World Fact Book, can in fact field an army that big, and it was China and India. Of course, China is the one with the economic wherewithal and has the military built up more than any, and seems to be more aggressive. You know, Hindus just don't tend to be very aggressive now, do they? Fortunately. For us, maybe not for them, because they seem to get picked on throughout history somewhat. So they're trying to defend themselves, and they're getting more interested in self-defense, and who can blame them? Yeah, they've taken a beating through the ages. All that said, so let's look at something else here. Let's pull up a calculator. So in the book of Revelations, it talks about 200 million. So we're just going to say 200. Now, what is 1,400,000,000? 1.4 billion? A billion is 1,000 million. So if I take 200 and divide it by 1,400, you will know what percentage of the population it would require to fill out of the nation of China to fulfill the prophecy in Revelations. I'm not saying that prophecy is or is not right. I'm just throwing numbers at you. Only 14%. Only 14% of the population would be required. Of course, it seems to be suggesting in Revelations that there were 4 demons involved in this, maybe 4 countries, so there may be other contributors, maybe Iran, it's also east of the Euphrates River, maybe Pakistan. Iran and Pakistan and China are all pretty tied together, maybe North Korea and China. Maybe these are the 4 demons that go east of the Euphrates, or go west of the Euphrates, with 200 million. But it's also prophesied they would kill a large fraction of the people on the planet. That could easily occur in a war between China and India. I'm said could. Now, all this stuff is conjecture because these things aren't happened. We're talking about capabilities here, as best as we can ascertain them from the limited data put out today in the C, little I, big A, World Fact Book, or World Scrapbook. It just don't go to the level that it used to go to. So I guess we're going to close that down. Yeah, look at the age distribution. It looks kind of like a Chinese building, don't it? Here is another website, chinapower.csis.org, military spending. Great, we spend so much more money in America. Yeah, but look what all you can buy with money spent in China. That's not, you know, this is an apples to apples comparison, and that don't even make sense. When really a dollar buys so much more in China, it's not funny. So I think this is an invalid comparison. Chinese military personnel. So currently they have quite a large military. There's different numbers that you'll see in these different sites. And I see some things that said, we don't even know how large the PLA is. Here we're talking about 1.438 million people. Yeah, China's got, actually North Korea has the largest military in the world presently. What can they fill though? Oh yeah, by the way, yeah, well, I'll show you some videos I got. So if you want to know what all videos there are on my channel, what you do is you go up here. Normally you're on this and it shows various playlists. Well, playlists fill up fast and you only stick so many playlists on here. And so most of the videos on my channel and any other channel are not in the playlist. In fact, there's usually some real good gems hiding down below. And so, yeah, I'm going to show you something. We're going to go back to the China topic. So just go in and click videos and scroll down. Look here, here's my China, India, tense eye-to-eye standoff, talking about Ladakh, Galo, and Valley, and other things going on. Oh yeah, talking about the Constitution in some of these videos. Powder keg and protect your rights. Look at that. I don't know what all this stuff is. Holy smoke. And we got food supply crisis, veggie shortage, oh yeah, I had to shut my website down. Iran, tensions. Why seeds are so important for your survival. Oh yeah, videos about the typewriter bug. Plenty of things. Telling you to prep now. Praying for changes in this world. Praying to get us in a more positive situation. I'm going somewhere here. Hang on. People can grow on a tenth of an acre, enough food to feed a family of 4 and sell the excess and make a living from. Ah, look here. Here's the videos you want to see. Red Dragon Advances and the Dragon Awakens. And you want to keep looking down, just hit load more. And you just keep scrolling and you get more and more and more. Videos about the power grid. Human hive soon to arrive. Watch that if you want to stay alive. So you got to remember, insect apocalypse right now. I should cover more of that because the mayflies are getting kind of scant. Death of modern monocultural agriculture. So, Greg, what are you doing this for? I got a lot of videos now with power grid. Actually, I wanted to show you something here. We'll go to this Constitution video. We'll just take it from the top.
A whole lot to say.
Now, we're not going to watch this video here because you can go watch it for yourself. I'm just going to show you. People keep asking me, Greg, where are your links? Where do I find this? I get asked that every day. So if you want to support my channel, do a couple things. Click the subscribe button and click all and update notifications. Now, I'm not at the point where you click that because I'm already subscribed to my channel. And then you can go in, you can find my links to True Leaf Market, my pages, find other things in 2 places. These are the channel notes. You click more on it, show more on the channel notes, that's where you find the links. In the same way, I usually pin a comment. Now, sometimes you see some of the links up top, but read more. Look at read more. Look at show more. When you click show more, bam, what do you get? prepwithgreg.com. So that's not a hyperlink there for some reason. Go to prepwithgreg.com and you can save $100 on 1 month food supply for long-term food storage and lots of other prep supplies that you're going to need. If you go to True Leaf Market, you're going to find, let's see, that's the Constitution there. Yeah, you might want to see about the Constitution. Sometimes you have to cut and paste things in. So here is the True Leaf Market link. This one, you just have to highlight it, hit Control-C to copy, and go up to your browser and do Control-V, or whatever you do to paste, and paste that in, or you can just type in prepwithgreg.com. For some reason, that's not a hyperlink here. These things are weird. That is. So you can go to the Constitution. You can also see all my other fine videos. Also, I'm trying to build a tribe network. And on here, you can find a link, or you can find the email to send to and put the word tribe. If you're doing today, put 28 May tribe in the title. We're putting together a list of people that want to survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive, and do it with a corporation of other like-minded people and tribe and survival community settings, or just do a national network of interested people. That's what we're trying to set up. So pay attention to that, but I did want to show you these things, and yeah, like if you want to see the link, you click it, you can go to True Leaf Market here and you can buy your heirloom seeds. And I'm not going to stay here. I'm just showing, boom, get in here. You got all kind of seeds, microgreen supplies, everything you need to garden. And I will tell you to get growing really fast, because food situations can get very precarious before you know it. All right, I'm going to kind of squinch this down a little bit, and I'm going to stop the share. I'm tired of looking at that stuff. All right, so we have gone around the web and we've looked at various sites. We have looked at the kind of governments you have between communism and fascism. What do you think about that? What do you think the CCP really is? You tell me. I just showed you the comparisons. I went to fascism and I went to communism as defined on a public, highly respected web source known as Wikipedia. And I just, I wasn't looking for their proprietary, data, but, go Wikipedia, get that stuff. I'll give them the shout out. But I was just looking at this list that you can find anywhere. That kind of data is listed all over the place. That's not even copyrightable because it's comparisons. It's not prose. It's just concepts. You can find these concepts listed all over the place. So I'm not showing you copyrightable data there. And the one photograph I showed you is Xi Jinping is extremely highly doctored and modified by me. So it's really artwork. And it probably came from a government camera anyway. So all those pictures come from government cameras. So they're not really, any picture taken by a government source is fair game. It's the personal stuff that can be trademarked you have to watch out for. And even then, you're allowed limited use if you make it very narrow, cite the author, and or highly modify it, commentary and other purposes. Which is what I did. I mean, after all, maybe we should go back to that, put that back up here. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do another share. And we'll go back into this stuff. Well, shoot. Share screen. There we go. So let's talk about the man. We've talked about the party. Let's talk about the man. This man rose up through hardship. He made a lot of accomplishments. A lot of people in China thoroughly respect him and adore him because he really lifted their boats. He helped increase their economy. He's made them a lot better off than they were. Now, again, people aren't beating down the doors of China to get in now, are they? But they are doing better than they did. Enough so, given how those people lived before, a lot of them at least did appreciate Xi Jinping. The number that do appreciate him seems to be dropping, especially since they were welding doors in Wuhan and doing other things like that. And of course, there's the Hong Kongese and the Uyghurs and the Falun Gong and a lot of other groups in China that are somewhat less than in total adoration for President Xi Jinping. Their numbers are growing. And that poses other problems for Xi Jinping, China, and the rest of the world that bear consideration. Well, let's go back to Xi Jinping. Think about this. I said, is he Hitler 2.0? So, some of my little alterations was I gave him the little symbolic mustache. And this is an actual photograph of him. And there's many photographs of him in that Heil, mein Führer type pose. Heil Hitler, Heil Xi Jinping. I guess that's what it means. Or maybe he's just being friendly. Somebody. So it's been said that the Chinese are very racist, that they really only prefer Han. Look at the black people in China who were there. They were really horribly mistreated. A lot of them went home telling their countries about this. Yeah, and if you're in China and you're not Han, you get mistreated. In China, you cannot be born into China and be a citizen. If you're born in China, you're not on you only get citizenship by descent. You have to be descended from someone who's Chinese, and dual citizenship is not permitted. Interesting. Very interesting. So if you've cut a deal and you're in a third world country or any country, even Australia, so if you've cut deals with China, you Pacific Island countries, you African countries, and China comes in a big way and eventually takes over, how do you think they're going to treat you as a person when they don't even respect their own people? When they run their own people into prison camps, gulags, if you will, how do you expect they're going to treat you? How do you expect they're going to appreciate you? Europeans were really hard on the Native Americans. They were decimated by disease and war, and then herded off to reservations. You might be lucky if you're even permitted to live on a reservation or live at all, because they have no appreciation for human life, especially outside of their own people. And even out of their own people, if you're a Chinese Han and you're not, just praising Xi Jinping, you're probably in trouble. And they have social media and powers that Hitler would have salivated on. You see those missiles below? Now, Hitler had the V2, but China has intercontinental ballistic missiles with nuclear warheads, far more capacity for destruction than Hitler could have ever dreamed of. China has a social media control system where you get points, and you're only awarded if you're praising and licking the boots of Xi Jinping, the Communist Chinese Communist Party, the CCP. We'll call them CCP. I'm not sure the CCP really stands for communism. And I'm not saying communism is a good thing. Do not misconstrue what I'm saying here. I'm just trying to define terms and I'm asking questions. So, what is it and who is he and where's he leading us? You see, he is behind a vast buildup of military in China. He is starting to do expansionism. You got to remember, Hitler also was very popular in Germany. Hitler was even more popular in Germany than Xi Jinping in China, because Germany, it came out of World War I. The Versailles Treaty really discriminated hard against the German people. And Hitler brought prosperity to Germany. He took them from living in the Weimar Republic inflation, which took a wheelbarrow full of money to buy a loaf of bread, to being a prosperous nation with booming economy and jobs and expansion. And he told the people there that they were the greatest people on earth and that they would in fact have the earth. And he made them proud. He made them feel good. He gave them money, but got them bread on the table, and without a wheelbarrow full of money. And Germany seemed to be booming. But then Germany got boomed. What did it result in? Complete, utter destruction of the German nation. And then, Germany was bombed to smithereens. The people, when my dad was in World War II and he went to Germany, what happened? They felt sorry for the little kids in the street. They were starving. The U.S. servicemen were taking their own sea rations, their own food, and giving the cookies, the candies, and some of that food to those starving kids. I was later going to work for one of those. I worked for a German who had been in the Luftwaffe as a fighter pilot, carrying nuke around. Jürgen Ebelenbelt was his name. And he told me, he said, Greg, when I was a kid, the American soldiers brought me, after World War II and lost, he said, they brought me food. They would give me candy out of their sea rats. I go, yeah, it's funny. That's exactly what my dad told me he did. So I've seen both sides of that. And that was a very interesting story. Understand something. There are good people in every nation on earth. There are really good Han people. There are good, I would even say some of the people, and in fact, a lot of people, the rank and file in the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, are good. It's the people at the top you always got to worry about. It's the one, because power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. He who has a goal makes the rule, and birds of a feather flock together. You take these three, you get corruption at the top, you get deep state characteristics in any government, every government and organization. social organization all over the world. You get this kind of corruption that floats to the top, like a crust, like something else that always floats, right? Yeah, the worst stuff, the dregs, always float to the top when you melt lead or any metal. Yeah, I've melted lead and cast things, as you might imagine. And I told you I built muzzle loaders when I was a teenager. So think about it. Hitler had the economy of Germany booming. Hitler started getting expansionist. Maybe he went a little too fast. If he'd have slowed down a little bit, he could have done a lot more damage. China has a vast industrial capacity. Why Hitler lost the war? Why America won every war it's won to date? America won based on attrition because America outproduced everybody. America had the factories. Back then, America was producing energy, as we started to do again. America had the factories. America had the production capacity. We just outsourced all that to China. Now China has the industrial capacity. So think about it. Xi Jinping has a very authoritarian government, a people he controls, a people that's loyal to him, and he's expansionist. His party has characteristics that seem to favor something that might not be communism, maybe, but whatever. He's still an authoritarian with a militaristic system and beginning to show signs of expansionism. Look at the Ladakh region. Look at Golan Valley. Look at the 9-dash line. Look at the Pacific Island deals being cut. Look into Africa. Look into Central America. Look at the Panama Canal. Look in Venezuela. Ah, yeah. Didn't I do a little report about Venezuela a few weeks ago? I talked about a dream that Miss Stacy had, who is the channel Sustainable Stewards. Go back and look at that. Of an EMP strike coming out of the waters off the coast of Venezuela. Now, if you were China, you wouldn't want to attack America directly, or some other country, or Korea, Russia, some inside job from here. But Venezuela's unstable, and everybody plays off the coast of Venezuela. Yeah, tactically, that could happen. So let's think about this. China. We're the one thing standing between them and the rest of the world. If we were gone, nobody could stand up to them. If we were gone, if we were incapacitated, they would own this world. This would be planet China. I'm going to do a video in the future titled just that, Planet China. I'll go into more detail about their expansionism. But right now, we're just looking at the character of the people who run it, not the people of China. Like I said, there's good people everywhere. We're good Germans. Hey, I worked for Jürgen Belt, and I used to carve the Christmas turkey for Konrad Dannenberg, who was one of the V2 rocket team members. And these guys were scientists and engineers. Most of the ones I knew were engineers. They call them rocket scientists, but Conrad would always correct you in a hurry. We were engineers. There's no such thing as a rocket scientist. We were all engineers. Actually, if you do enough experiments on rocket techniques and fuels, you might be a rocket scientist. By the way, I did do that. Hybrid fuels, doing a lot of test burns. But, you know, me and a whole other group of people here that I was fortunate enough to be in the leadership of at one point in my life. However, I know a thing about rockets. One or two things. So that's why I have another channel called Galactic Dregs, which I'm got to get some attention on here real soon. Back to this, Xi Jinping. If you're a Chinese person and you're happy with what's going on, think about what happened to Germany. Think about where this led Germany to. Think about the utter destruction that came upon Germany. When you get a character who's running the country the way Hitler did, you are in a bad spot. This is what you could be getting yourself set up for. Utter destruction. Do you want to be there? Like I said, in the word of the people on my side, China has a production capacity. Oh, guess what? that production capacity is suddenly being underutilized because we've got this trade war going, and there's that typewriter bug and other things. So China is now under capacity. And also, the leader is getting, Xi Jinping is under fire internationally. Suddenly, he's not where he's getting all these nice, peaceable deals he used to get. He's played his chessboard with the techniques of Sun Tzu about as far as he could. And Sun Tzu is you don't get involved in direct conflict. You make your enemy relax. How you doing? I'm here to help you. Relax. Lay back in a chair here. Here's some tea. You want a beer? Here's a shrimp, here, shrimp cocktail. Enjoy this. And, then they stab you in the back when you're not looking. Yeah. Now, though, in a different situation. The world is waking up. So, wait, who are you? What are you doing? And we're cutting off trade. And the factories are going empty. The people in the country are restless because why are we being stepped on so hard over this typewriter bug? Why do we suddenly not have work? Why are our factories shut down? There's no tactic called wag the dog. And it may be the time that we may see the adventurism increase. It's already getting pretty blatant with the 9-dash line and what they're trying to lock everybody out of the South China Sea. And Australia, India, the United States, a lot of countries are getting fed up with it. Something may happen. And you also got to consider something I've talked about in other videos called Thucydides' trap, which is a term coined by Graham Allison, no direct close relation. He is one of the key professors at Harvard in International Studies. And Dr. Allison talked about Thucydides was the original historian. He talked about the situation in the Peloponnesian War and outlined what happens when a rising power meets an established power. And usually if you got a case where this guy's going to knock these guys down so they don't overthrow you, or they're going to overthrow you. So there's military tension in those cases. And over the last 500 years, out of 16 of these cases, 3/4 of them led to war. And the ones that didn't, one of them wasn't a true case where one was actually honestly a power that was over top of the other, as of the Soviet Union, which economy nowhere came close to ours. And other cases where the countries were in bed with each other, or the church adjudicated everything because they were both under direct influence by Catholic Church, who divided the world between the Portuguese and Spanish. And, when the United States was a rising power and Great Britain was on top, we were over our 70 rear ends and WW1 and things like that. So, WW2. So there's cases where when that didn't happen, you had other dynamics in play. Do we have those kind of dynamics? If we had enough interdependence between the two countries, enough goodwill, we could avert this. Graham Allison hopes that we can avert this kind of conflict, and so does Greg Allison. War is not a pretty thing, especially look at this guy, look at this picture, look what's underneath him. Those are nuclear missiles. War is a horrible thing. It would be horrible for each side. It would also be horrible if we just laid back and let them take over the world and subject us all with a jackboot to our necks and to stomp us till we didn't exist anymore. Till the whole world was Han and nothing else. That might be good for the Han. But some of us just probably wouldn't find that a satisfactory outcome. Of course, they would want us. Sun Tzu would have had them sneaking that up on us real slowly over time, and like boiling a frog, and slowly turn up the temperature. But guess what? The world's waking up. They can't play that game right now. This is why things can go energetic. We're getting tired of it. They're getting antsy. Wag the dog might come into play. As I said before, the key interest of a world leader, especially a dictator, is to maintain his power. He's on the front of a big train, and he exists and is able to live and maintain his power because he has lots of power. And often they step on and kill a lot of people to maintain that position. And once they step out of it, they're in a bad spot. They usually cease to exist fairly rapidly once they step out of a spot like that, especially when they've risen ruthlessly Xi Jinping may not have risen as ruthlessly as some. Probably not. There's always some play done when somebody rises to power. And I do have to understand the previous president of China is somewhat less than totally in adoration of Xi Jinping. So there are dynamics even within the party there, the CCP. But he is definitely the strongest, most powerful leader since Mao Zedong in China. And given the position of China in the world today, he's the strongest Chinese leader in the history of Earth. Make no doubt about it. Those nuclear missiles were never under the command of Ming during the days of the Ming Dynasty. The Ming could have taken the world back then. The world could have been Chinese already, but maybe the philosophy they had in the Ming Dynasty would not have been as brutal as what we might see under the CCP. Maybe. Just saying. I don't know. All we know is where we're at and what we got. And I know that my objective is to help you understand how that we can, and you can thrive, survive, and stay out of the hive. You know, hard to get 3 fingers in my right hand. Survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. That's why I bring you this information, so that you will know that these things are real, that there is things out there in the world we've got to be aware of. This could be what brings an EMP attack upon us, because it would be the easiest way to dispense the United States and take the world. The United States is gone, the whole world's going to be scampering and covering their tails. Right now already, because China dangles these big contracts and trade, all kind of countries about, go whimpering and bowing over and licking the boots of Xi Jinping. That's not a good thing, to lick the boots of Xi Jinping, because that boot is going to be on your neck before you know it, once he is in a position that he can put it there. Once you've kowtowed enough, there's no one else to resist it. It's his. He'll do whatever he wants. And that's why I have to wonder, is he? I wonder, and I ask, is he in reality Hitler 2.0? Or Hitler on steroids? Maybe he's the Hitler wished he could have been. Hitler was salivated for the kind of power that Xi Jinping has in terms of social control within his country and the weapon systems he has, the production capacity, the fact he's setting all the islands up, has a nation with 1.4 billion people, the largest country on earth. What if Hitler had all that and had all the time to develop all the systems and weapons that China has according to them today? My friends, that would not have been a pretty picture then. And we may be entering into an era in this future that may make WW2 look like a Sunday school picnic. This could get beyond your beliefs. Ugly, could. So what do? Let's hope that we can educate the people in China, the good people. There's lots of good people there. Maybe they could see to it that the powers of this man do not permit him to do the kind of things that we're talking about. And maybe even they just might change the regime, overthrow the government, and come with something more democratic. If the Chinese had a democratic society, they could be totally awesome. China could lead the world in great achievements that we would all just go ooh and ah at. And we would look at them and just wonder. And then we might really just say, hey, we love it, great. They could do that. That would be an awesome day to see that. That we could celebrate and clap at their achievements. That's the kind of world I like to see. A world where people can get along everywhere. Oh, by the way, in my tribe, the development here, we got people of different backgrounds, heritage, and ethnicities. So, even different religions. So, it's possible. These things are all possible because we're all human on the inside, except for the sociopaths, which typically wind up being leaders. And if he is a character like Adolf Hitler, then he would be a sociopath or a psychopath. And they tend to be really brilliant. And they're also really charming. So you may not know it first because they're real charmers. They're real manipulative. So, hey, I'm just asking questions. Why don't you leave comments below? And y'all can debate them. I don't know if I'll be able to keep up with comments in this video because we're asking a lot of big questions here. And my life's extremely busy. But post the comments below. Debate amongst yourselves. I will try to weigh in when I can and as much as I can because you guys leave a lot of good comments. I got one of the best channels and in terms of followers there are on YouTube, on the internet. You guys are smart, you're good, and you care. That's the most important thing. You care. And there's people from all over the world. We have people, I've had people from Iraq, Iran. Not Iran, but Iran. We've had people from, that's what one of the commentators said. Wow, people that talk like you're an exception because you don't pronounce it Iran. I know. One of my best study buddy in college was a person from Tehran in Iran. Not Iran. So I know better. And I am somewhat educated for a worm farmer. So there you go. I've been around. I've dealt a lot with international people, international studies. And when I worked at the space station, I always worked on international programs and aspects. Always. Every time I worked on the space station, I was, well, okay, yeah. I dealt with internationals. Everything I did. That was the part I worked. It's always done with internationals. So it's something I've done. And so it's good to have those kind of experiences. And so I try to share with you my perspectives, what I see, what I know. I do know that we're in a time of peril. Things could go bad. And you know what? I really hope I'm wrong. My greatest hope would be that this picture's totally off base. My concern is that there's something to it. That's what I'm concerned about. There's just something to it. That little mustache seems to fit on him too darn well. And hand, yeah, you tell me. And those missiles, that is sober. Those missiles. The passing review he does with his military, the growth of his military, the control he exercises over his country. Hitler never had that kind of control. Never over his country. Hitler never had that kind of production capacity. Hitler never had the world's most populous country by any long shot. Germany was not that big. It was a big country in Europe. But when you compare to the rest of the world, and especially bringing America in with all our production capacity, yeah, they were going to lose. Just, because we were able to outproduce them, but they sure did a lot of damage. But production capacity right now is in China. And China graduates more engineers per year than we do lawyers. So, my friends, wake up, sober up, let's get prepared. Oh yeah, what else can we do? I just said what the Chinese people can do. What you can do is prepare. Get ready. Get ready in case we lose our power, our grid. Let's form our tribes, our communities, so we can survive what comes at us. The objective is to survive it, stand up, shake the dust off, and build a better world. Or better yet, maybe we can, through working to make people aware of the risk, maybe we can avert them through political pressure, through people getting to know each other, through prayer. I've led prayer sessions. I tell people to call congressmen and the people in other parts of the world. They can do similar things. And I've tried to appeal to internationalists in some of these prayer sessions, including people from China. And who knows? Maybe that man right there, maybe his heart will change. Maybe this guy will just have a big change of heart. Maybe he'll become a big, soft panda bear. Yeah. Sociopaths are always sociopaths. Psychopaths are always psychopaths. I'm not saying he's one of those. But rising to that level of power, that level of control. And then there is that one old adage stated by Lord Acton. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And the man in the photograph has more power in that regard than probably any other man in the world. Yeah, the President of the United States might have more military power at his immediate beck and call at the moment. He does not have the number of people and the kind of support behind him that this man in this picture has right now. This man could be argued to be the most powerful man on earth. Could be. Aside from the gangsters. Or whoever else. Might be hiding. This man is out front. Who's the man behind the curtains? Or the men behind the curtains? The people behind the curtains? Or the mantids behind the curtains? Whatever. Okay, this might be a LARP session. Live action role play. So, my friends, we don't know. And I beat this horse enough. So you tell me, what do you think? I've asked the questions. I put out some facts from the CIA World Fact Book. So those should be facts. And we have shown discourse in discussions of ideologies that fit the different types of governments. And we've compared them to what is going on in China. So you tell me. You be the judge. Leave the comments below. If you support what I'm saying here, I'm going to be doing a lot more videos in the future on wild edibles, on gardening, growing your own food, which is what you need to do. I'll go back to aquaponics. I'll go back to microgreens. Maybe we'll go out in the woods in the future. I need to find some time to do that. Do some real survival training. And we're going to do more videos on what's happening in the world, more analysis of what it is that you face, what you need to know about, why you need to keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel. And I do consider this part of we'll create a playlist in the future called Eyes Wide Open and Head on a Swivel News. And that's where we are. That's what you need to do to be aware and prepare. So, to all of you out there, I say, let me stop this share point here. And we're going to end this video. So, to all of you, very much, I thank you